if you are an enterprise and you're trying to take advantage of AI, there's a recent study. I talked about this on on an episode in the past, and probably several times, but I did a whole episode 924, on this MIT researcher claim that 95% of enterprise AI projects fail, where fail means that it does not deliver a return on investment in production. So either it never makes it to production, or it's never profitable in production, or it's never successful. It never meets like your success criteria in production. And so can you speak to or provide examples of what typically goes wrong in enterprise AI projects, and how our listeners, perhaps leveraging things that we've already talked about in this episode, can prevent those kinds of failures?
That's a great question, John. And honestly, you have done a stellar job covering it in that podcast episode that you referred to. But my take on it, I think some of the most important things that everyone that's on their AI journey will do well to sort of ground themselves to is it starts in a very cliched manner. It does start with setting clear goals for what outcomes are desired, right? And that includes very specifically what is the desired type of response and accuracy of said responses. And I think we're still very very reliant on humans for ensuring that outcome, right? In other words, you just can't proceed unless you have humans in the loop and expect to have, at least during the training phase, and expect to have good results. In fact, I think having humans in the loop even during production, as feedback baked in to the solution itself, is vitally important, because you want to account for drift, right? But another cliche I will share is, don't apply Gen AI for the sake of it. Use the right tool for the job. I think I've seen plenty of misuse where everyone just wants to apply Gen AI to a problem that is very well solved with traditional, I call it traditional, it's funny, but machine learning, right? Solid machine learning, deterministic outcomes. So those are the basics, right? I think beyond that, you just want to really be very deliberate about the problem you're trying to solve, right? So again, problem, goal, tool for the job. Sounds pretty basic. You could actually take that response and apply it to literally any, even a classroom discussion on how to do a project or how to manage projects. So I think those are the basics that you need to ensure. And then as you go from there, there are obviously going to be very use case specific, task specific best practices, which need to be, uncovered and adhered to as you go along the journey. One other thing I will mention here is that it goes back to some of the pain points that we anchored on earlier on in the conversation about the problems that we were solving for with the Dell AI Factory and the entity formerly known as Dell Pro AI Studio. And I'll defer to Tyler there to sort of talk about what are some of the best practices that customers can take advantage of with the solutions that we're providing.
Yeah, so I think taking advantage of the device through our solutions means that you've always got a enterprise-ready model at your disposal, right? There's 2 million models on Hugging Face. They all do different things really well. We're trying to bring the ones that we think are really great for a lot of key enterprise use cases ready to go. We also make sure that they're performant on our devices of all types, right? So when we pick models, we try to make sure that they've got great coverage across different silicon types. So they're really good building blocks. A lot of times you'll start down a pathway with one model, and you might hit a dead end when you try to scale up or scale across different device categories. it can be a little bit challenging to figure out what the right pathway is to getting everything hooked up the right way.